Of NATO's 32 member countries met in Brussels yesterday. It was the final high-level meeting before Donald Trump takes office next month. Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner joins us now from Berlin. Emily, g'day. So what was on the agenda of this meeting?
Top on the agenda has been Ukraine. Yesterday, the foreign ministers expressed their unwavering support. This is more than 1,000 days after Ukraine was invaded by Russia. And they expressed support, but did not extend an invitation to join NATO, which Kyiv was reportedly hoping to get at this meeting. And that doesn't really come as a surprise. A handful of NATO member countries are opposed to letting Ukraine join NATO, including Germany, because of the belief that doing so would be perceived by Moscow as a provocation and spark a much larger war. A U.S. senior official present at the meeting did say that the Biden administration would do whatever it could to put Ukraine in the best possible position for potential future negotiations with Russia. Now, Ukraine has said it will not negotiate with Putin, and the new NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said Putin is not willing to negotiate either, but the U.S. has indicated that this might be Kyiv's best option. That's due to the fact that Russia has made significant advances recently and has received military support in the form of troops from North Korea. And another topic at the summit was the Middle East. Rutte remarked that Jordan was one of NATO's most important allies, and that was why its leader, King Abdullah, was in attendance at the meeting. And they also announced that a NATO liaison office would open in Jordan's capital, Amman, in order to help facilitate this relationship.
So there's concern over what Donald Trump's going to do with aid for Ukraine once he takes office and what's going to happen with the war. What's the US doing now to prepare for the possibility that Mr. Trump makes good on his promises?
Well, on Monday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced a package of missiles, ammunition, anti-personnel mines, and other weapons worth around $725 million U.S. dollars. That's nearly 700 million euros for Ukraine. The anti-personnel mines have been pretty controversial because unexploded mines often harm and maim civilians long after wars come to an end. And the 1997 Ottawa Treaty bans their use, but the U.S., neither the U.S. nor Russia are parties to this treaty. And right after the war between Russia and Ukraine began, Kyiv started requesting them from its allies and from the U.S. The Biden administration is trying to do everything it can, as I mentioned earlier, to support Ukraine before Trump takes office again. And this munitions package is one of those things.
And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz was just in Ukraine. What came out of that visit?
The same day that Antony Blinken announced a new aid package for Ukraine, Scholz touched down in Kyiv and met with President Zelensky. It was a signal to both Ukraine and to Russia that Germany continues to stand with Ukraine no matter what Trump tries to do in his second term. Scholz promised that Germany would deliver arms worth around 650 million euros by the end of this year, and we are in December. This is including air defense systems, drones, and Leopard tanks. But the arms package does not include the Taurus missiles that Zelensky has repeatedly asked Germany to provide. Taurus missiles can find targets more than 500 kilometers away, and they're hard to detect by radar because of the altitude they fly at. They would give Ukraine a significant military boost, but Germany has been very reluctant to hand them over because it could spell an escalation of the war. But despite this disagreement, Zelensky expressed his gratitude to Germany for its continued support and for being the top European donor to Ukraine. To date, Germany has provided a total of more than 37 billion euro in support for Ukraine.
Okay, Emily Leshner there in Berlin. Authorities in Thailand want to reassure